Hi, Rishi.
Hey Lisa, how's it going?
So we're here today with Rishi Nair, CEO of Diddo, Lisa Dolan, Managing Director at Link Ventures, where I am focusing on AI applications. And here is an example of AI applied to commerce. Diddo uses AI to empower content providers with a platform to let viewers buy from their TV show they may be watching. So Diddo is connected to all e-commerce platforms so that you can purchase products directly from a video platform. So just imagine being able to shop that shirt when you're watching a Succession episode. So this is exactly what Rishi's focused on, and really, really important today as we see this need for streamers to unlock new revenue streams. And Diddo is supported by us, Link Ventures, alongside Neo and Lamar Advertising's family office, and several executives from companies such as Disney, Sundance TV, MGM, and others. So Rishi, welcome today. We're excited to have you join our portfolio and dig in a little bit today. So without further ado, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, and we can dig in.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, like Lisa was saying, my name's Rishi. I'm originally from the Bay Area. Learned how to code pretty young. My dad had me in coding classes in the third grade, so normal sort of Bay Area kid upbringing in that sort of regard. Came to New York to learn a little bit more about the financial side of things. Fell in love with product when I did. I was the first product hire at a big data AI company, and really fell in love with product when I was able to bring that product to market. After that, worked for a couple different companies, like eBay, for example, learned the ropes of big tech as well as commerce, and started my first company in college. Was also a B2B API company, so learned how to create APIs that were really just beautiful to use. I think that's the kind of thesis that we've always been driven by, just by people that I've been around and that I've been building with, is to build luxury experiences into technology. That's something that we've done here at Ditto as well, building a luxury experience into a pretty in a market that people have heard about before, for sure, but in a way that people have not been able to solve or crack in the past couple of years.
Yeah, so let's dig into that. So this idea of being able to shop through video is tried and true. So why now? Why Ditto? Why will it work today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and where we generally should start. I think shoppable TVs existed since before the internet's existed. I think QVC is a great example of that. It's just like, fact of the matter, the American population really wasn't ready to shop TV and any entertainment for a long time. I think we saw this be a popular sort of business model in other geographies, mainly Asia. We saw what China was able to do. We saw what Korea was able to do, Southeast Asia. It's been successful in multiple other geographies, but I think that what's successful in one geography, it takes a little bit of time to get to other geographies, because you can't really copy and paste and create the exact same sort of situation. The population is different. I think the American population has had to go through Instagram shopping. We had to be a lot more comfortable shopping entertainment. That led to everything with TikTok, where we're getting breaking news, all the way to fashion advice from short form video and just video content in general, getting a lot more comfortable with that. And then we saw what TikTok Shop did. Obviously, this was exacerbated by the COVID pandemic, but I think the American population in the last couple of years finally got to the point where they wanted a easy and just beautiful way to shop what they saw on internet, especially when culture started emanating from these shows. I think we've seen the fall of advertising and individuals wanting to be sold to, and the rise of culture. I think we have shows like Succession to thank for that. Euphoria is a great example of this. Culturally significant shows drive taste, and taste drives purchasing power. And so that's really where we come in, to really provide that the piping to make sure that that entire area flows smoothly. So just from the overarching point of view of where the population was before we get into the technical understanding of why this needed to happen, and right now was a perfect time for it to happen.
So talking about timing, we've seen Amazon, Apple, NBC all announce video shopping. And can you tell us a little bit about how that is making the consumer primed and ready and used to shopping? And then how do you also see it as a competitive pressure?
Yeah.
So strategy there at Diddo, how are you thinking about it as both the consumer getting used to it versus competition from the likes of those streaming platforms?
Yeah, amazing question. I think we view that, like over here at Ditto, I think we view that as kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing. I think we want to have the population be really comfortable and almost expect that to be the norm. We don't want it to be, oh, this is a feature that's super cool. We want shoppable TV to be synonymous with subtitles. It's something that is expected to be there that people can do when they want to do it. It should not be a feature. And I think that's the future that we're building for. We're building an we're building a company agnostic platform. Much like in the early days of payment processing, people were building their own payment processors. That isn't a thing anymore. Stripe was successful because it was able to take a lot of the pain points of building your own payment processor and make that something that everyone could do. That's what we aim to do here. Building it internally is hard. And these companies like an Amazon, like an Apple, these individuals are not building it in a platform sort of format. They're building it for their own ecosystem, and they're shopping from specific ways that make them, and that makes sense for their business model, and as they should. But for the long term, and as we see where commerce and content is going, every company has to become a content company. And with every company becoming a media and content company, you need different ways to connect with audiences and different ways to monetize.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the computer vision, without going to great detail, but the computer vision AI that you've built and the API infrastructure as your product. We've talked about sort of the Stripe analogy. Why don't you also touch on that?
Yeah. So the Stripe analogy really comes from the place of like, we're an API, we're simple to integrate with, and we handle a lot of the backend piping that is not simple. We make things that are difficult pretty simple through our API, and that's really where we want to draw the likeness to Stripe with. But when it comes down to our computer vision, I think that's something that we were super excited about here. And Pamela, our CTO, she did an incredible job leading the journey on this sort of format. I think something that we really were excited about was also why we started with streaming and higher video content as opposed to going after like user generated content, is the fact that we can kind of use context clues with these capabilities. Like, we're going to know that the Kardashians wear brands that they represent or own, right? And so instead of having to do like what Google has to do and do millions of different brands for a specific image, we know that the Kardashians are going to wear Good American, Balenciaga, Skims, brands that they represent and own. And so instead of having to do millions of different brands, that thing, it's reduced to about like 20 different brands. And so that allows our computer vision to be super exact and precise while also being efficient and not wasting compute.
And can you tell us a little bit about the tech team that you're building? You are recently funded. And so how are you thinking about hiring across tech product and sales? So people that are really interested in working in computer vision, how can they reach out, and are you hiring?
Yeah, we're most definitely hiring. We're going pretty aggressively trying to grow our tech team right now. Hiring just the best talent. I think we've been fortunate enough to have incredible backers like you guys and your MIT affiliation, as well as Neo and their deep networks in the technical landscape. I think both of those lend well to just us being able to choose the strongest individuals that not only are talented technical minds, but also individuals that have a penchant for fashion. I think we want individuals who have a sort of opinion about just culture in general. We want to have fun working here. And so hiring the best people that can add their sort of own spice to the mix is really what we're looking for.
Yeah. And regarding Diddo's technology, is it meant to replace the second screen phenomenon? And perhaps you can talk about that phenomenon.
Yeah, I think wholeheartedly, yes. I think, like I said in the beginning, Ditto's in the business of building a luxury experience. QR codes, simply put, second screen experiences and QR codes just they are not a luxury experience. It takes away from your enjoyment of the content in front of you. It takes you away from everything. It's a distraction. And that's not something we want to do here. We want to build additive technologies that augment what we see on screen. We don't want to really take away and build QR codes or second screen experiences in ways that are unnecessary unnecessary to our products.
Yeah. So let's talk about, 5 years from now. What's your vision, not only for Diddo, but let's talk about more about the landscape. What's your vision?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think commerce is changing. I think we're kind of at a crossroads for where commerce is. I think static commerce kind of had its heyday. And I think what Stripe was able to do for static commerce, we want to do for social and video commerce. We think that video commerce is the future of how people purchase things, how people find things that they like. I think all of this all of these are tailwinds for us that allow us to really see where the future is going. In a world where everything is built on video and where commerce is built on video, we want commerce built on Diddo.
And if we think about more near term, what is Diddo planning in terms of features? So feature wise, what is the product today? What are you planning for 1 year, 3 year?
Yeah, I think that's just another exciting question. I think something we're trying to do here, first and foremost, is going after these large streamers. We've already inked some really exciting deals, which we're super excited about. But now just being able to work with every single streamer, work with them on their favorite shows and get that out to every individual. We want to make sure that when you're watching something, you can shop your favorite characters' outfits, their home decor, even their events. Next White Lotus comes out, you can buy a couple nights at that hotel that they're filming at. That would be wonderful. And so being able to continuously move up the upstream in terms of what can be bought, I think starting obviously with fashion and household goods, but going to events and going to other aspects that can be bought, experiences. I think all of that is really exciting and something that's on our roadmap.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I believe there's a certain unique understanding that awesome direct-to-consumer founders have about consumers. They know their consumer inside and out. Even this is B2B, you are very close to the consumer. We've discussed how the American consumer interacts differently than, let's say, the Asian consumer. What is your unique understanding about your consumer?
Yeah, I think not only are we experiencing geographical differences in our consumers, I think we're also seeing demographic differences in our consumers, age demographic differences in our consumers. I think how people want to be, I think really where we start is the advertising space. I think advertisements have long been a archaic form of monetization in the streaming world. And it's something that takes you out of your experience. Like, you should not be getting auto insurance advertisements when you're watching Succession because they're just not relevant to each other and it's not an additive experience. And so I think we're in a day and age where advertisements are diminutive to the fact that, like, when people are watching something, they have just bad taste in their mouth when it comes to these advertisements. And if we're able to augment it and have these sort of additive experiences where we've seen in like social media, where we're able to see advertisements that never felt like advertisements because they actually were listening and had the data for like my specific interests. I think that is the kind of the world that we live in right now. And that's the world that streaming and video has to catch up to. And I think that's something that we're able to provide incredible footholds into, because not only do we show you the actual item on screen, but we also show you 3 comparable items in different price ranges, especially if that's more towards your taste. And we're also able to highlight specific stuff on specific shows for you individually. Let's say you're watching Succession and you want to see what Shiv Roy is wearing more often than not, but I really like what Roman is wearing. And we're able to, and they're both on the screen at the same time. When you're watching it on your HBO screen, you have instances that are more specific to you based on what your tastes are. And I get what's more specific to me and what my tastes are. Personalization really is the future. We've seen that with TikTok. We've seen that with social media. we need to see that with streaming as well. I think we've seen that in different instances. Netflix has done a great job in terms of having the cover of their specific shows be different for whoever is watching their shows. But we need to continue to build upon that in the streaming and video ecosystem. Personalization is where it's what's necessary to treat the consumer properly, and it's something that we're very well equipped to do here at Diddo.
Yeah. And lastly, I would ask you a little bit about your team. As you know, at Link, we're very much focused on trustworthy friends who code themselves and are technical. Can you tell me a little bit about how you brought your team together, how was initial product was built in-house? Because it seems like this is one that hits exactly in that framework of trustworthy friends who code themselves.
100%, 100%. I think personally, I've been lucky enough to have incredible people in my life and incredible people that I can just kind of like shoot the breeze with and shoot ideas around with. I started this company with my best friend, Ryan, who was across the hall from me my freshman year of college. He was, I have two co-founders. Ryan, he was across the hall from me my freshman year of college. We've been best friends since then. And we actually started this company first and foremost to solve a problem that started really with his mom, first and foremost. She was a huge Selling Sunset fan. So when that had come out, like going into our senior year of college, she was calling us. My mom's always loved shopping what she's seen on TV. She's much more in the like HGTV and household goods sort of world. So she's always been pushing for those sort of examples. We've had similar sort of experiences where we've had our moms really push us to have those sort of capabilities in streaming. And so really built the first initial product for Caroline, which is Ryan's mom. She wanted the ability to shop what she saw on Selling Sunset, and we built a Google Chrome extension. It was incredibly hacky and not that good. We thought it was just going to be something on that side, but we actually launched it to the New York City ecosystem and to the college ecosystem, and we had incredible amounts of success. And that's also when we brought in our third co-founder, another good friend of mine who I met my sophomore year of college. Her name's Pamela Chen, another just absolutely incredible individual. I think something that we pride ourselves on here for the co-founders of Diddo is we're all just incredibly curious and love solving problems, and we just work well together. And I think that's really the crux of why this works is we're able to have really open and honest dialogue with each other about what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's incredibly important in building a team and conversations that we need to have to grow from a startup that we are today to a category defining company that we expect to be in the next couple of years.
Great. So last question, 20, 30 seconds. For anybody who wants to join that incredible close-knit culture, can you share a little bit about the exciting BD and streamers that you're working with without naming any big names, but, you know, tease a little bit?
Yeah. No, I think that's been super, super exciting. I think we've been able to work with some really, really exciting infrastructure players in the space, allowing us to have vast amounts of reach to honestly everyone's favorite shows. I think having those sort of capabilities is absolutely wonderful, and the future looks really, really bright on that side. Being able to have our technology in the most culturally relevant shows, hopefully within the next calendar year, is our goal here, and it's something that we want to push and make sure that that every consumer is able to experience in the coming months with the rollout of us across their favorite platforms as soon as possible.
Awesome. So we actually have a couple questions that I wanted to just jump to.
For sure.
How does Diddo match items seen on the screen to items advertised in your database? Are there partnerships with the streaming services that are creating these matches?
No, so that's actually the computer vision. I think just going back to our technology here, a big reason that this hasn't been able to work in the past is the fact that like this is a headache. If anyone that's worked in the commerce side of things before has known that like being able to keep on top of like when things are in stock, when things are out of stock, when things are in season, how to continuously move things around in terms of what's being sold to optimize for just selling practices. It's not something that like it's hard. And so when you're not a commerce company, first and foremost, which these are streaming and content companies, they do their job extremely well. adding an entirely new company as to just a workflow for them and making them do all of the work in terms of matching and doing the items on screen, that's just not a ask that is feasible. And so that's what we do. We use our computer vision to tag everything that's on screen, as well as show comparable items in different price ranges, which act like advertisements, but they don't feel like advertisements to the end consumer, allowing streaming and video owners to monetize in multiple different ways in a time where they really need to find new ways to monetize and connect with consumers.
Awesome. Well, we're way over time, so I'd like to thank you. And if anybody wants to connect with you, I assume email, LinkedIn, and same with me. LinkedIn is messages best.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. We will touch base with you next quarter.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye, Rishi.
Bye.